The vice chair ruled a challenge to the chair regarding whether an amendment to the agenda.
Point of order, Chair.
I have 2 minutes.
Point of order.
I have
This is hearsay. We cannot be debating hearsay. We had a successful chair. We had everything going on in the past meeting. I see this as another effort, to just waste our time.
Point of order. This is not a point of order.
You have 3 seconds left in your time. Anyways, Adam, given that you did not follow what I asked you to do, I'm going to take those 3 seconds, which I don't think you'll be able to use to further say anything anyways, and remove you from the
I have been censored. That's my last 3 seconds. I have been censored again by this organization. Thank you.
Adam.
Adam can go.
Yeah.
Yes, please put your hand up to be on the speakers list. Thank you. Adam, go ahead.
No problem. Okay. I just want to move a motion to amend the agenda to add an item after item 4. Everything's really important on this agenda, such that I think it can be addressed after these other issues. But after item 4, just an item concerning officer conduct.
Officer conduct. Would you like to give me a 30-second on what that would mean?
There are a number of issues that have arisen in the last 30 days that merit discussion among the board of directors regarding certain decisions by officers regarding especially the annual general meeting that I think are worthy of the discussion.
After 4, you said?
Yeah, after 4, but before 5. Yeah, before any other business.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any questions, discussion on that? Sorry, hold on. You're moving that. We need a seconder. Jesse, seconding?
Yep.
Thank you. Discussion? Questions?
Can I also request that be secret ballot? I know the poll is mostly secret, but it's important given the nature of the conversation that this be secret ballot.
That item did not appear to be, you mean for this amendment specifically?
Yes, specifically this amendment.
Yes, Chair. This does read quite similar to a motion that was brought forward to the executive and got dismissed. If this is another attempt at the same motion, Chair, I fear that we are in improper use of our time.
Thank you, Luonga. The way it was currently worded, I'm not sure if it is exactly the same. If it is, and I'm aware of it, then it would be out of order for this meeting. But thank you for that. Any other points? Adam.
What other meeting would be contradictory with discussing officer conduct?
What other meeting would be contradictory? Sorry?
Sorry, what other motion would be contradictory with discussing officer conduct?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Sorry, Adam, I'm not sure I understood your question.
Oh, I'm just curious as to what Luonga is mentioning or alluding to.
Thank you very much. I would, Chair, if you'd please, if we could get the member to motivate more about this so as we can get a clearer picture. It does seem information on motion, but please provide more clarity. What type of, conduct are we talking about? Is this an in-camera item or not? If it's not in, I would like to hear more. I believe I'm not alone.
I think that's very fair. Thank you. I saw another hand, but it has disappeared, so I'm just going to go back to Adam to provide that clarification. But Adam, I'm going to ask that you do so within a minute because I do want to get to the rest of the agenda. I'm sure we all do.
Sure, I can propose wording of a motion that I want to potentially levy in that item unless there was some kind of justification for certain decisions that were made in the last 30 days. Can I provide the wording in the chat?
Yes, please do. Would this clarify what you're asking for as well? Let's see.
It would be to add that item, but hopefully the conversation doesn't lead to someone moving that.
Okay, thank you, Adam. That is a lot more specific than what you had originally for that clarification. I am going to say that for this particular meeting, I think that is out of order for this particular meeting, and that can perhaps be addressed in a different space. Further to that, I'm going to suggest that given the content of what that particular item would be, the legal counsel can perhaps provide a response for that at some point as well. For this particular meeting, I would like to go through with the points that are on the agenda already because we are already at 6:10 and have not gotten to any of the agenda items.
I have a point of order on that. So the correct meeting to discuss the conduct of a executive is explicitly the board of directors meeting in our bylaws. That's under 10.3 sanctions, and there's no other location for this conversation to start but the board of directors. It can't start at the assembly. It can't start at an AGM. So I think this is the only place we can really talk about that.
Thank you, Jesse. The reason I say this is because, as I understand it, there are other legal concerns around this particular issue, and I would say that I am not in a place to sort of be able to carry on a conversation with those legal ramifications about that. So I would suggest that that be done separately, as I suggested. Sarah?
Point of order. Point of order.
Yes, Adam?
What is your ruling specifically regarding this amendment, this proposed amendment?
That it was out of order and that legal counsel could provide a response, but I will go to Sarah first to see how Sarah would like to respond to this.
Thank you. First of all, this motion is out of order. That was a member's motion, and that was submitted to me by a board of director who's currently present. So it was very well not a motion that was, submitted by the executive team. So I would like that board of director to come forward and, provide a justification for submitting such a motion to the general membership, rather than Mr. Adam Hill harassing me and accusing me and kind of like pointing me all the time for things that I'm not responsible for. Thank you.
I'm going to go.
Hi, everyone. Okay. I would suggest that we move on from this simply because this seems to be, we have a similar motion to something that was proposed in the past. I don't have all the records in front of me, but it seems as though I've seen this kind of language before from Mr. Hill. I really would employ the chair to sort of move on with the rest of the agenda so that everyone here, and I'll remind you that you're directors of this organization, to move on and to speak to things affecting your actual members, instead of going back and forth on this. It's best to take this offline and to discuss it outside of the board of directors at first, instead of just simply loading this onto the board, right? And simply taking all the time that you have, which is until 7:30, I'll remind you, about any business affecting your members. As the lawyer for this organization, I really would encourage you to do that. So whether you disregard it and put it out of order or procedurally, I think that that doesn't really matter. I think that you need to move on to actual business affecting your members.
Much of their
At the end
time
of the day, that's what matters. Your fiduciary duty as a director.
When they did actually meet.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
The jig is mostly
sorry, Adam. Was that Adam?
Yes.
Sorry, Adam. If you would just let me complete my sentence, I will go to you. I know it's a point of order, but I just wanted to complete my thought, if that's okay. Thank you, Matthew. That is indeed what I will be doing, with full respect to all parties involved. My role here is to continue this meeting and get this agenda done, so that is what we're going to do. Adam, you had a point of order. I invite you to speak now.
Well, for first address, to what extent our legal counsel's insights had bearing on whether or not we could amend the agenda to discuss officer conduct, but I challenge the chair, but you have not yet provided a clear ruling or justification as to why this is out of order. But regardless, I will challenge challenge the ruling to exclude an item from the agenda after 4 before 5 regarding officer conduct.
Thank you, Adam. My ruling was that it was out of order for the reasons that...
We can take a minute to look at the bylaws if needed.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Before I step in, I just sorry, just a second.
So I'm going to throw things over to Luongo just to administrate that, because as the chair who's being challenged, I won't be doing.
Okay, folks, so there has been a challenge to the chair and detailed explanation of how things should go. So yes, at this point in time, Mr. Adam Hill, to talk to us about his justification or for your reasoning to calling the chair. So Adam.
So I can't give adequate reasoning unless I know exactly how Sandhya is ruling this out of order. That's probably why I requested a specific worded ruling in the chat. It was kind of vague as to what her justifications were in this particular case, so if she could provide that, then I could give a better motivation.
So you're challenging the chair without justification, Adam, is that right?
I'm challenging the ruling to prevent ruling this out of order.
Reason.
Yeah, but
the reason is what we're seeking.
So
please provide us with reasoning.
I've provided motivation. I've provided motivation.
Reasoning, Adam. If not, I'll probably be forced to just wipe this off the floor.
No, but okay, so point of order before we continue. So point of order.
Yes, Adam.
There's usually a process for challenging the chair. The chair has to give their ruling, right, and give motivations for their ruling. It's actually, the onus is on the chair, not on the person challenging the chair, because ultimately it comes to a vote of the board of directors as to whether or not the challenge should be upheld. And my challenge is just the ruling to exclude.
The explanation should come from the person, the chair says something, Adam. So please give us your justification. If there's none, that's no worries. Probably you'll challenge in the near future. But we would like to continue this meeting.
My apologies. I'm not hostile to this space, folks. I am trying to amend the agenda to include a discussion regarding officer conduct. That's the extent of what I tried to accomplish. Then I was asked specifically to provide greater clarification, which I did, but I was hoping that the officers could explain what's been happening in the last 30 days such that we wouldn't be forced to try to retain that motion.
I don't want to cut you short, Adam. However, that's what we're talking about right now. Thank you.
Oh, I'm just challenging. We have directors have the right to challenge any ruling at any point at any meeting in order to address procedure. I look at this as a procedural concern more than anything else. It's the capacity of us to amend the agenda according to our own will. I don't know why this is being ruled out of order.
I would have to, sweep away this motion, and I would return things to Sandhya as the chair, with hope that we could carry on with this meeting. So if Adam,
quick point of order here. Even if
I will finish my sentence. So Adam, if you are not going to explain the challenge to the chair, and then we can hear from the chair, I don't see what we're doing here. So, yeah. And then we had a point of order. Yes, Jesse.
I was just going to say that, regardless of how Adam explains it, that's just him doing a better or worse job of explaining why he thinks the chair is out of order. So we should still go to the chair for her detailed explanation of why ruling this out of order makes sense with respect to our bylaws and the Canadian Not-for-Profit Corporations Act.
Well, I mean, you yourself, Jesse, just said, we should hear from Adam or from the member and, to provide us reason as to why they are challenging the chair. And then we can hear the chair's defense. If that's not the way things are going to, work out, I don't want to, say anything left.
I think Adam ends up just saying he is challenging the chair because he doesn't think it's out of order, and then said a bunch of additional words that provided no benefit.
I think Adam can speak for himself.
Again, I asked, sorry, point of order. Point of order.
Yes.
No,
Please do explain to us why, your reasoning for challenging the chair, and then we can hear the chair's defense, and then we can carry on.
It's not a question of, okay, so point of order, it's the reality that when a member challenges a ruling, ultimately the ruling needs to be clarified before someone can motivate their challenge, right? I don't really know exactly how Sandia ruled this out of order, because I don't know how one would rule this out of order, but if Sandia has like a special justification for this case, then I can motivate why I'm challenging this. But ultimately, it just comes down to procedure.
So you challenge the chair without knowing why you're challenging the chair. Sorry, yes, Matthew.
I'm just going to interject. I think we can all agree that this is really getting us nowhere. I don't really like to see this, to be honest with you. At this point in time, it doesn't seem like we're having a very productive board meeting. So I would, at this point, going back and forth about
clarify the chair.
Why it's not accepted, the fact that we can't motivate the reason why it's not accepted, or whatever it is that you're trying. I think I would prefer to hear from some of the directors here to determine to move on. I mean, I understand that there needs to be few procedural rules, right? Particularly your bylaws, but I feel like we're really getting bogged down in a situation that the chair originally has not accepted this motion for reasons that they've and that, I mean, to me, as I said before, right, I mean, I feel like we've seen this before, perhaps even last year, and there's very little context for the directors to even consider what we're going to be to propose some kind of resolution or a motion to move on with the rest of the meeting and not address this. This, Mr. Hill, if you want to write something later on, feel free, but I feel like we're really holding up this board meeting here.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
Yeah.
I do agree, and I'll just ask folks, to keep other chats out of the chat function and, the chat section for a specific information.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Hill has a repeated history of, personally harassing me and targeting and attacking me, off and on. I take this as a personal offense and would be, considering all legal and humanitarian, for the targeted harassment that I continuously experience from Mr. Hill. And I make it, evident at this platform. And I will also be addressing it at the annual general members meeting. First of all, this motion that was, that Mr. Hill is talking about pertaining to officer conduct is a board of directors, motion that I received by another board of directors. Just like Mr. Hill has the, ability or the capability to submit motions, other board of directors equally have the responsibility, authority to submit motions as an executive and the executive team. We abide by and respect the board of directors' motions. And that's all. Mr. Hill has any problems with the motion submitted, please address it directly with the board of directors concerned.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for participating in this item. I am going to have to shoot down this motion by Mr. Hill, and I will pass things back to our chair.
Point of order.
Yes, Adam.
What does that mean? There's no shooting down a motion in Robert's
Adam,
Rules
points
of
of
Order.
order cannot be questions.
That's not a
It means the motion shall
question.
not. However, we do have a hand up, but yeah, again, and then.
Hi, Lawanga. I just wanted to confirm one thing, that, the way this discussion has been brought forward about challenging the previous chair's authority, I mean, without any proper reasoning, like without any ground reasoning, doesn't it come under like sort of, a very targeted kind of, I don't know. It's very targeted. Like you don't have any grounds to challenge the, the capacity of, you just don't have appropriate answers to it. So I'm not sure if it is targeted towards the chair or like towards the entire meeting in terms of, consuming the time. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Nilofar. That's a very important, point and question that you raise. I would ask, things into consideration. And yes, Adam.
Folks, there was a motion to amend the agenda. Then there was a ruling that motion to amend the agenda out of order. I subsequently challenged this ruling to rule that motion out of order, but I still have not yet provided like wording for that ruling such that in normal procedure we would then vote on whether or not to uphold the chair's ruling. If without a worded ruling we cannot.
I'll rule as chair who has just stepped in your motion out of order, and I'll be passing things back to our chair, Sandhya. Thank you very much. And folks, please do not be discouraged to continue participating in this meeting. So that motion is out of order, and I will pass the chair seat.
If there are none and folks are already comfortable with what you've already seen, then I'll ask for a motion to accept the executive committee reports up until November 19th. Adam.
Why were two of the executives' reports not included?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Why were two of the executives' reports not included in the package that were circulated to the board of directors?
Why were two not included, is what you said?
Yes, there are 3 of 5.
Okay, I do not have the answer for that, but I'm going to Lawanga.
Thank you very much. My report was, I think it's one of them. I'm not sure if it was able to get in, but I had technology issues and it kept bouncing, but I can give my hand is up to give a verbal. And so this month, I'll just share that the floods. We had an infestation of insects.
Thank you, Lawanga. Just kind of building off of what Adam has said, if there is one more person who can provide a report, Nilofar, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. Yes, my report was not submitted in time when it was the time for the VP internal to send out the package. And so I'm here and I can explain what about the work that I've. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think that does cover all of the reports at this time. So I am now going to ask for a motion to accept the executive committee reports. Nilofar, is that a... Oh, okay. All right, looking for a motion. Mover and seconder. Anybody? Mover and seconder to accept the reports. Can somebody just also put their hand up to see that I haven't lost connection or something? Ooh, okay. I may have just lost connection, so I'm just going to say it again. Could I please get a mover and a seconder for that motion?
I can hear you quite clearly, so I'm
Okay.
not sure who. Yeah, I'm not sure. Can we get a seconder for this motion here?
Anybody? Luonga. I guess you're moving. And Danielle, seconder. Thank you. Okay. Yay, now they're all coming in. Perfect. All right, so we've got our mover and seconder. Any discussion on that? All right, seeing no discussion, so we're going straight to a vote. Polls coming up. Once again, I'll give you 45 seconds. Please go ahead now. And we're there. All right. So, motion carries with opposition. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for the votes in the chat as well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle or Luonga. You both put your hand up so at the same time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because of, the importance of these motions, I'd like to move a motion to extend this meeting by 5 more minutes just so we can get through these motions so we don't have to continue extending them. And then I can provide a very sharp answer to Jesse's question. Oh, sorry, the director's question. Sorry.
Thank you. That's a mover, seconder for extension to, sorry, you said 7:15?
Yes.
Danielle, thank you. Seconding that?
Yeah, seconding.
Perfect. Votes going up. Please vote ASAP. And there we go. So motion has carried with some opposition. There we go. Thanks for the votes in chat. All right, we've got 1 minute. We can start talking about item 4, CRO nominating committee. So here we go. Motion to appoint as written on the agenda. Danielle.
Can I motion to extend by 5 minutes, please?
Thank you. Seconder? Okay, perfect. Here's a vote.
Point of order. What's the motion that we're talking about?
We're currently extending the meeting to 7:20.
Oh, to extend it. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I thought we were on the other thing. But unfortunately, the meeting has already timed out.
Point of order.
We're in
a vote.
Yeah, point of order.
Yeah, meeting has.
We're voting. We're voting. Point of order, Chair. We are voting.
I'm just going to go forth as it's not over yet. We're in the middle of a vote with a few seconds left. And so I will tell you the result of this vote in 2 seconds. Meeting has been extended. Oh, you can't see it. Here we go. Meeting has been extended. Thank you. It was very close. Thank you for bringing that up, but we have made it. It's still 7:15. Okay, so moving on to 4. I asked for a motion for number 4. Mover and seconder. Luonga and seconder, please. Thank you, Avinash. Take care. Danielle seconding. All right, discussion on this motion.
Point of order.
I did not see who said that. Who said that?
Sorry, it's Adam.
Hi, Adam. Yes, point of order.
Do we still have quorum?
Do we still have quorum? Sorry, could somebody maybe have a quick look at? I'm not able to look at that right now.
Yes, we do have quorum because the executives are more in number.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
My
okay,
apologies.
Danielle.
What does that mean? Executives are more numbered. Like, what's the percentage right now for quorum, if I may ask?
Perhaps we can throw that in the chat and as I go on with the discussion. Danielle?
Point of order, this takes precedent. This takes precedence.
Point of order, the chair has ruled
precedent.
it out of context, so I'm going to continue on with the motion
Please do,
at
Danielle.
hand. Thank you so much. So
I will challenge the chair. I will challenge the chair on quorum. We
point
are a democracy.
of order.
We are a democracy.
Here have voiced concerns over HAB committee, so we bring forth this committee, and I would just like to motivate everyone to either, if they have interest, join the committee to be on the CRO hiring, as we very obviously need to have a by-election, and so that we can put that to bed.
Yes.
So I would like to motivate anyone to either be involved and support this motion.
We cannot proceed until my point of order is addressed or my challenge of the chair is addressed.
Thank you. As I had said, we were going to have to respond to your question, Adam, in the chat. It's in the chat now. Thank you, Danielle, for your comment. And I'm going to go forth to any other comments on this item. Further comments on this item. Therefore, I'm going to a vote. So perhaps that was accidental.
Sorry, I do think it's a point of order. I think we need to establish the members in the CRO hiring committee to move the motion, no?
Notifications and so on to be made on that.
Point of order, can I interject and elaborate? The board of directors had to nominate themselves.
See, okay, so we are not actually, we can't vote. It's right. Okay.
So one of the board of directors had to nominate themselves to be part of the CRO.
We're voting on.
Sorry, can I move to extend, please, by another 5 minutes?
Yes. So this vote was done. It was voted in, but we didn't actually vote on a person. My bad. And. All right.
Point of order. This is the second time we've gone over a vote.
Point of order. We're in a vote.
But it's 7:20. It's 7:20.
Yeah, we have a minute left, and we are in a vote. So point of order.
Rule this. We are okay to hold this particular. So, can we get a person to nominate themselves? I think that's what I just missed there. And I suppose that means that we won't be able to vote on it if we don't have someone who themselves. Danielle?
Yeah, maybe I can give some more information for anyone interested. So the CRO is the individual who will conduct the next set of by-elections. So as if you're not aware, we are currently understaffed in terms of executives and in terms of board of directors. So if you are interested in service committee, you will be required to review applicant resumes and then conduct interviews accordingly, and then subsequently justify your choice of hiring to the board at the meeting, by-elections, that point forth. So, and if there's any questions, now would be the time, but as we really need a by-election to occur, I would highly encourage someone to nominate themselves.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Adam, please go ahead.
Yeah, point of order. I just checked the bylaws. I don't know what Sarah is referencing with regards to we remain in quorum so long as we have like the entire executive committee in attendance. I think she might be referencing quorum for the executive committee specifically. Can I reference the section? Like, can I just give you the text from the bylaws regarding quorum?
Why don't you, Adam, why don't, okay, you can stick that in the chat, or you could just tell me the article number.
It's okay. There, and I can't find anything in there that says that as long as because think about the implications of that, right? If the executive committee by itself can make BOD decisions without any other directors present, as so long as they're present, that's a problem.
And you're saying that we don't have 50% of the elected peeps?
Oh, I just want to check quorum. That was all.
Matthew?
We have quorum. Can we move on, please?
Okay, thank you. Any further
I'd
comments?
prefer a ruling from the chair, please.
We have quorum.
Ruling.
Thank you. Comments, nominations? And to clarify, Adam, I don't see how we don't have quorum. So I'm ruling it court.
What's the number, though? Like, what's the count?
Sorry, point of order. The information has numerous individuals, including the chair and including UTGSU legal. So can we go back to the agenda topic at hand?
Yes. Do we have any nominations? Because I think that's what we are awaiting.
So can I point of order, this is actually really important.
Point of order, we have quorum.
No, I want something noted in the minutes that the chair and our legal counsel refused to acknowledge whether we were quorate or whether to, and confirm the count. I just want to make that really specific.
Point of order.
Confirm the count
Point of order.
on the record.
Clarify, I think it was not refused to clarify that we are quorate. No number was stated, but we are quorate. We can numbers if we need. Luonga, please go ahead.
I'm really sorry, folks. I just like to move a motion to extend this meeting by 4 minutes. It's really unfortunate that we have to keep on getting,
it's 7:25.
For lack of a better word, derailed by this.
It's
but I'm moving a motion that pauses the time right there, Adam.
Yes.
Vote is commenced. Adam, if your comment
Point
is
of
about
order. I want to note in the minutes. This is the third time you've done this consecutively
Point of
in
order.
the minutes.
And I take a speaker's list. Even if you have a point of order, please allow me to let you speak. Yes, Adam, to respond to what you were saying, the vote is ongoing, but to respond to what you were saying, yes, we cannot go beyond that time, but we are within that minute, and as was pointed out, once it has been moved, we stop at that point to hold the vote. So I'm just going to follow the agenda here. We're going to move on to 1B, adoption of the agenda. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as is on the screen. I think hands are still going down here. Maybe I can actually just put all your hands down myself. Yes. Okay. Now I'm going to ask for someone to move and second that motion. Sorry, I see hands up. Thank you very much. Just 1 second. I just want to address a sort of accessibility question here. Yes, thank you so much. Awesome peeps are helping people out here. Under the reactions tab, you will see a little button to raise your hand. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I have here Tom moving and Haley seconding. Lots of other names, but thank you so much. Wonderful. Any discussion on the agenda? Sorry, before that, I will just put everybody's hands down, just in case. Now, any discussion on the agenda? Comments? Anything? Adam, please go ahead.
Good evening, folks. I'd like to make a time-sensitive amendment to the agenda regarding the last Board of Directors meeting, the November Board of Directors meeting that just took place. There are definitely some things that I need to note to this corporation relative to the conduct of certain officers in the last 2 hours. It pretty much just report at this point, because there's no way we can address all of those concerns tonight, but a report basically right at the beginning of reports regarding officer conduct. I'd motion to amend the agenda to include that item. I can motivate further if people want me to.
I'm going to ask you for you to motivate, but that's a motion. I need a seconder. I see Chris and then Jesse. Was either of you wishing to second that?
I can second the motion, sir.
Thanks, Chris. And now we're going to discussion here. So, yeah, could you please motivate, Adam?
So I created like a Coles notes of issues, but I'll try to keep as brief as I can. We have a lot of business to conduct tonight, folks. But
sorry to interrupt, Adam. Just to go on with what I had said previously, 2 minutes per person. So anything within the 2 minutes.
Okay, sure. So
Thanks.
Listen closely, folks. I'll try to express this as clearly as I can. In order, well, actually, I just created notes. So quorum was checked, was requested without a communication as to the exact numbers of board of directors present and required for quorum. So there were votes taken after a quorum check where quorum was not confirmed. That happened in the last hour. 3 extensions to the meeting were voted upon outside of the agreed adjournment framework timeframes. The vice chair ruled a challenge to the chair regarding whether an amendment to the agenda.
Point of order, Chair.
I have 2 minutes.
Point of order.
I have
This is hearsay. We cannot be debating hearsay. We had a successful chair. We had everything going on at the past meeting. I see this as another effort, to just waste our time.
Point of order. This is not a point of order.
I'm going to take the comments. Thank you, Adam, for your comments, and Luanga for yours. I will say that this is indeed, I'm going to rule this out of order in terms of what you're saying, Adam. That is out of order. So I'm going to say I apologize, but I will not be entertaining this as an amendment to this agenda.
Point of order?
Yes?
Okay, so I asked for this last time, right? I asked for a specific ruling, the wording of your ruling for the sake of challenging the chair later if necessary. How specifically are you ruling this amendment out of order? Please tell me.
Yes, I'm ruling this out of order because it is a comment on a personal comment on things that occurred in the previous meeting, which is not relevant to the business of this meeting, and Assembly is not the right platform to discuss board of directors matters. It goes to the AGM. Is also another point which is in the chat here. Based on the equity statement that we just read, I'm going to say that I don't think that is going to be appropriate.
My apologies.
For all of the reasons I've just stated.
How is this an equity concern?
Directing comments about a specific person to be discussed based on your perception of that person, which can be perceived as harassment. So I'm going to say I apologize, but I'm not going to be able to entertain that at this point. Thank you.
I challenge the chair.
Thank you for your challenge. At this point, as the chair, I'm being challenged, setting aside to allow, I think it's the president who is going to be the challenge. Thank you.
Okay, folks. So there has been a comment in the chat from our equity officer. Our equity officer would like to remind everyone to refrain from harassment or any behaviors or discussion that could be construed as harassment. Everyone has the right to feel safe and supported during this meeting.
Yes.
So there has been a challenge to the chair.
Soon.
Right now, would we be entertaining that challenge or an explanation, and then we can hear from the chair? Yes, Adam?
Yeah, the chair has provided a specific ruling this time, so I can motivate relative to that specific ruling. Folks, if we can't discuss officer conduct in the board of directors and we cannot discuss officer conduct in the assembly, where can we discuss officer conduct in this corporation?
Answer to your question is in the chat. Assembly is not the right platform to discuss board of directors matters. It goes to the annual general meeting, which is the AGM. Does that satisfy your question? I hope it does. It does answer. I will go to the hands. I see some hands here. And yes, Danielle.
Yeah, I would like to speak against challenging the chair. So just for some context, essentially the last hour and a half of our board of directors meeting has been exactly this, with certain board of directors interjecting for the sake of wasting time. Sonia has conducted herself nothing but eloquently and elegantly against such interjections. Moreover, as previously mentioned, these allegations are hearsay. Of course, we can discuss officer conduct multiple times in the past. However, the allegations made are just matter of fact incorrect. So I would like to speak against calling to chair. We have some really important agenda items at hand, and hopefully we can address some real student issues with Sandhya as our chair.
Thank you very much, Kenya. Do we have any more speakers? Yes, Jesse, and then Chris.
Yeah, I just like to speak in support of discussing this because at the last Board of meeting, a number of egregious violations of the Canadian Corporations Act, under which were inaugurated, or that's the wrong word, but for example, what Adam mentioned.
Sorry, Jesse. I'm just going to interject here as chair. It would be easier for folks if we don't like kind of conflate these issues. It gets very confusing for folks to, folks who haven't been in the previous meeting or folks who have no history of an understanding of this. Sorry, I'll finish my point. It gets hard for folks to understand. So if we can please stick to the issue, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Sure. I'd like to speak in support then, as the Assembly is a body of the organization. I'm phrase it as a report, not a decision or a motion. And given that it concerns the Board of Directors, this is the appropriate place to do it, as there will not be another meeting before the AGM.
Thank you very much, Jesse. Next, we have Chris and then Mint.
Yes, I'm not entirely certain of the issue here, but I think I'm going to speak in favor of this challenge, simply because as members of the UTGSU, I believe it is our duty to hear statements from the Board of Directors to understand, what is going on in our corporation. As we are sure we're not Board of Directors ourselves, but as Assembly members, it is important to know what is going on in our corporation, and if there are any issues, it is important that we discuss them and become knowledgeable about them.
Thank you very much. Just before Mint, I'd just like to repeat something that was put in the chat. I don't feel there's anyone out here tonight who's trying to silence discussion of what should be or what is going to take place. However, the Assembly is not the appropriate platform to discuss the Board of Directors matters. In fact, it should be the AGM. We have something in the chat. It is not the mandate of the Assembly, as the Board of Directors raised in the last joint Assembly and Board of Director meeting that took place on October 25th, 2022. So just again, this, it's not being dismissed or anything. It's just not appropriate. We have a whole bunch of, I think what folks are trying to say is that we have a whole bunch of other important issues that are more appropriate for this meeting. And yeah, so at this point in time.
Can I make a point of order? The chair should not be stating their opinion on this matter while chairing it. That's not the
my
role
opinion,
of the chair.
Jesse. It is not my opinion.
You're explaining your opinion right now.
No. I just said, what? It's has been said. I read something. It's in the chat. And that's what it is. So right now we'll jump into the poll. And I'll just call on folks.
Point of order.
To remain. Yes, Adam.
The president should not be vice chairing a ruling regarding officer conduct amendments to the agenda.
Point of order. I believe you were going into a vote.
Thank you. We shall jump into the vote and then we shall.
Has the chair responded? Point of order. The chair has to respond in the challenge to the chair.
So Adam, what was your specific point again? It's that the vice president internal should be chair, right?
So can I speak?
Yes, I'm just asking you to restate that. That's it.
Sure. Okay. So if we cannot have that conversation with the Board of Directors, I feel like we have no other choice but to have that conversation in the Assembly, especially since, as Jesse raised, we're not going to have another Board of Directors meeting before the AGM. Furthermore, we cannot submit motions to the AGM now. They need 2 weeks' notice in order to be included in the agenda. Ultimately, I think that it's just a report.
I'm sorry,
it's not a decision item.
Sorry, this is just getting really confusing. I was asking what you had just stated, not a different point. But you had said something about the president not being able to chair.
Yeah, well, no. So when you'd have someone step in as vice chair regarding a challenge to the existing chair, ultimately the vice chair would usually give that role temporarily to someone else if they're also implicated in the challenge.
So who is implicated?
I mean, the president might perceive themselves as in conflict or implicated if they are.
Yeah, Adam, we
officer.
can't be debating assumptions here. I'd like to carry on with the vote. Like, folks, please. We had another meeting. We'd like to get to right now. We're going to jump into the vote, and now we're voting in favor of challenge to the chair.
And Chris, did you have a comment on amending or changes or anything to the agenda? I will note that it's 8:13 and we end at 9.
Yes, I did have a comment amending the agenda, and also actually a comment from the equity officer about refraining from harassment behaviors, especially against serious harassment, right to feel safe and support during the meeting. So I had submitted a motion to the agenda, which I'd also like to amend the agenda to submit here, and the motion was in concern to that had been made by statements that had been made by the VP internal at the previous assembly meeting in regards to the selection, or not the hiring, but the selection of a CRO candidate for the by-election, and how this had been done by a delegation to unelected staff. And where the CRO is supposed to be selected through an October Board of Directors meeting by a nominating committee, and the VP internal stated this was not the case. I had submitted a motion, and I'd like to amend the agenda to submit it again here, according to the special members meeting being called for the purpose of considering a motion to remove the officer. Now, in writing the equity statement, I was then responded from the VP internal. I was accused of harassment, accused of racism. I was threatened with human rights violations. All of this would seem to violate the equity statement itself in terms of making candidate feel safe and supported here. Everyone has the right to feel safe and supported during this meeting. So being threatened with human rights violations, accused of racism, harassment, I would consider this as harassment itself and a violation of the equity statement. So I would like to submit a motion to amend the agenda to include my motion, which was previously excluded in a conflict of interest by the VP internal herself.
Thank you, Chris. Danielle, was it a direct response to that?
Yeah, so I mean, like, first and foremost, as we just previously discussed, this meeting space is not the opportunity. Moreover, the actual submission itself was out of order as it included the wrong meeting date and the incorrect meeting title. So therefore, we were just really confused as to what the motion was even talking about. Lastly, I think it's quite ironic to say you were accused of harassment and then cite the equity statement, because obviously an accusation comes from somewhere. So I would just encourage everyone. Sorry, I'm not finished. Thank you. So I would just encourage.
Sorry, Danielle, I'm just going to interject quickly to say all comments from anyone should be directed to the chair, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just encourage that we all.
I'm sorry, who spoke there?
I'm seeking point of order to take precedence over all other business, all other items.
No, sorry, I just can't see the name. Who's speaking?
It's Adam.
Hi, Adam. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just point of order to take precedence over all other discussion, comments, motions, etc.
Thanks. Yes, I'll just ask.
Respected Chair, my hand is still up.
Thank you, Nilafar. Yes, I'm just going to ask for people to also try not to speak over other people, because it makes it difficult for me to hear when people are point of ordering and so on as well. So I think we were at Danielle speaking.
Yeah, so I mean, like, as I was saying, my final point is we're still on the agenda. Really, this meeting space isn't the time or place. We have so many people here. Of course, you all to move on with the agenda.
Include my original motion, and if it's out of order, it can be ruled as such here.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, I'm just going to go through the folks on the list here. I will remind everyone that we are at 8:18 and we haven't started the agenda. Nilafar. And then Sarah.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to highlight that the VP internal or any other executive, any personal decisions and anything that is being communicated is communicated as a collective agreement or as a collective decision. So the in any communication or like for any decision is by itself a source of targeted harassment, and they're in their views, and then they continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nilafar. And then we have Sarah.
Thank you to Chris's, accusations. I told him very well that, his motion was out of order as deemed by the executive team. He constantly, sent me emails in very derogatory tone, for which I said that, he needs to apologize for his harsh tone. It's not acceptable. As far as, the motions are concerned, I can provide documentary evidence as to how his motions are incorrect. As far as correction of the date is concerned, that was in response after all the AGM packages, assembly packages, board of directors packages were sent.
Point of order.
So, I can provide all these, discussions and emails that I've had with Mr. Chris, and I'll present it in the AGM for the general members, discretion to assume and decide how I have been targeted and harassed over the years by certain individuals who are present in this room. Certain course union representatives can also vouch how these certain individuals have been targeting and harassing me constantly since I've joined the VP internal portfolio. And I'm going to provide all the evidences, and I'll leave this discussion for the AGM.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I'm just gonna...
Yes, I can also provide evidence as the internal comments regarding providing evidence agent. I would like to request the chair's permission to provide, I can either send it to the chair, drop it in the chat. I have emails from the VP internal where, again, all I simply did was submit a motion based on our bylaws referring to that selection of the CRO candidate by the elected staff, and then referring directly to our bylaws. Then immediately accused of and threatened with a human rights violation. Nowhere did my emails in any way mention any whatsoever, purely referred to policy, and I was immediately threatened and harassed by the VP internal. I can provide this email with your permission, either to the chat or to you directly.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to just take a second here. I see there are hands. Just going to take a second here to say...
Point of order, Chair.
Okay.
I'd like to clarify as to how, I informed Mr. Chris that, how his motions are out of order. First of all, it was false accusation at me. It was the chair of that meeting who said that, the selection has... So first of all, that's a very false accusation targeted at me when it is the executive internal. Okay? So for any and everything, it should not be, VP internal. That in itself is a, harassment.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. This is clearly something that is more of a personal issue and perhaps not relevant to the rest of the body currently here. It is relevant in certain ways, relevant in other ways, because it's clearly getting very personal. I will advise everyone once again with a reminder to please be respectful. This is obviously very emotionally heavy here, but we perhaps should take this offline to another... we had parts of this type of discussion, and we had legal counsel there who suggested the same thing, that the discussion be taken elsewhere to the actual content of the meeting. Not to say that this is not an important discussion, just to say that we're taking the time of people who've made the time to come here today to do things that were advertised on the agenda. And of course, we're able to put things on the agenda that in this exact manner. But it's 8:23 and we have just over half an hour left. So I'm going to ask that we sort of, and that I'm seeing comments in the chat as well to this effect. So people are feeling that this is a waste of their time, to quote what's in the chat right now. And I would like to end that conversation. I'm going to say, let's not put this on the agenda, as just my comment from the chair based on what I've just said, and address this at another time. There are several people now in the chat who are not feeling like this is a place for this conversation.
Point of order, again, my original motion was to add the motion in the agenda, to add the motion which previously been excluded and which I had been threatened here. So I'd just like to challenge the chair on amending the agenda to include that.
Yeah, so, given how long this has taken and, a lot of people have frustrations, I'd like to put forth a motion to censure Adam Hill and Chris Rogers for the remainder of the meeting. It's just a complete waste of everyone's time at this point. It has completely taken away from the point of moving an agenda. And although this is unconventional for where we are in the meeting, I'm moving this motion as I feel that this is the common sentiment in the room.
Point of order, exactly. May I ask, what am I being censored for? I'm simply submitting a motion to amend the agenda and commenting as a point of order in regards to the situation in an equity issue where I was accused and threatened with human rights violations for attempting to submit a motion simply in line with our bylaws. So may I ask, as a point of order, what am I being censored for here exactly?
Can I reply?
Yes, Danielle, then we're going to go to Luonga and then Adam, and then hopefully the agenda.
As I'm moving, I think you need a seconder next. Yeah, censorship for essentially bogarting the meeting space and.
Thank you, Danielle.
Sorry.
Please let me speak, and then I'll go to the point of order. I just want to say that we have a lot of other people in this room, and we should be respecting everybody's time and space. The fact that they are here, please keep that in mind for everyone. Point of order.
Additionally, in terms of respecting time, everyone, I want to do that as well too. And may I ask then that by issuing a motion to censure me, then that would be there is AFC 3 and 4 is therefore also wasting everyone else's time by submitting a motion to censure me simply for following our bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Luonga?
I would like to second this motion.
Thank you, Luonga. Nilafar.
Point of order. Can we get like a reading from Robert's rules on what a motion to censure means in this case? Are we talking about removing someone from a meeting,
Jesse,
their speech? Yeah.
I'm sorry. A question is not a point of order.
It is a point of order because there's a motion to censure, and I don't know what that motion means.
That would be a point of information. And not a point of order. I will ask you to join the speakers list. Nilafar.
Thank you very much. I just want to note equity that, only a few folks are speaking and, at the cost of others' time. And there are more pressing issues that need to be addressed. So I would request the chair to consider others as well to contribute to the discussion and mind, I don't know, like the discussion and like the number of and discuss their issues.
Thank you, Nilafar.
You very much.
I really appreciate your there is a limit on the amount of times people can speak because I prioritize first-time speakers. However, a point of order or a point of information takes precedence in rules of order, which is why I'm asking points of order and points of information as an actual point of order or a point of information so that it's not taking precedence over other people's points. Okay. I think we had 2 more people to speak, and then we're in discussion of this motion. Okay. Well, I'll take anyone who's speaking, since this has gone on very long. I'll take 30 seconds once per speaker from here on till we finish this discussion. Chris, please go ahead.
Point of information, it's simply my motion was to amend the agenda and again mentioned an equity issue in regards to submission of my motion, and now I'm being censured. So may I ask here, could a chair also confirm via our bylaws whether an assembly member can be censured for filing bylaws for attempting to amend the agenda here? I'm just trying to understand what it is I'm being accused of, and especially if the rep previously, I'm sorry, I just one last point, is mentioned in terms of the whole procedure as well as wasting additional time. I'd like to read it. Thank you.
I'll go to the equity officer, in fact, because this is an equity issue.
Yeah, so my understanding of why they're calling to censure you is because you're essentially sea lioning. You claim that you're just asking questions, but the questions seem to never end. It's prioritizing your own individual interests and needs, whereas we have a lot of people here with a lot of things they're very concerned about, and they'd like their voices heard as well. And that's not an equitable use of our time, of everyone's time. And so that's my wanting to censure you.
And Gadfly, would you say that's in line with the bylaws?
Yes, particularly as we've been giving warnings during both the previous meeting and this meeting for people to be respectful and make sure everyone feels safe and supported. We are able to remove people if they receive multiple warnings. So if someone's being, censured, I assume that's less than being removed. Like, are they just being muted for the meeting? Because then that would seem like a lesser penalty than what they could receive, which would be to just be removed entirely.
Thank you.
If
and yes,
I could clarify, that was my intention just for the meeting.
Thank you, Danielle. That was what I was going to say. That was my understanding of it. centering. Okay, so we've now got 2 people on the speakers list, as I had said. Oh, sorry, Nilufar, did you put yourself back on after I said 1 more time per speaker? Because I saw 3, now I see 4. Okay.
Sorry, that was I forgot to lower my hand. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So now we've got Adam. Please go ahead. As I said, please take 30 seconds.
Hey, folks. This is not the first time I've been reprimanded or censured for attempting to defend good governance and our bylaws. So if you censure me again for challenging the chair to discuss an item regarding officer conduct after the meeting that I just experienced, after giving you a taste of what happened in that, whatever that was before this meeting, ultimately that's the will of this body, but I'm not going to stop defending our bylaws or constitution, just so you're aware.
Okay, so our agenda was amended to have number 4 now be Board of Director reports. For those who would like to provide such a report, we will follow the same sort of procedures that I put for the other reports, which is under 2-minute report with up to 10 minutes for discussion. Okay, so that's where we are now. So I'll ask for any board of directors to give their under 2-minute report. And I'll just take this second as I wait for any hands to make a reminder of course, again, please direct all comments towards the chair, which is me. And I expect that everyone will be respectful in their comments to those who are in and not in this room. And also just based on some of the other things I've been hearing in this meeting, I'm going to ask that nobody refer to others in their comments. I'm seeing that is a bit of that is being taken by some as targeted behavior, and I'm going to ask that we refrain from that in this meeting. Thank you. Okay. Oh, I see hands. Okay, cool. Avinash, under 2-minute report, please.
Hello, thank you very much. So I have a couple of things. The first thing is that I don't believe this meeting itself had reached everyone in the actual student body. And that was a problem because there was people even at the start of this meeting trying to get into the meeting because they never received the meeting link. Only 50% of the people who registered are actually at this meeting, which might actually be a technical issue. So that probably needs to be improved in the future. It's probably part of what I feel as a board member. And the second point is that at the previous board meeting, there was like an issue about seating guests, and seating guests should not be an issue at a board meeting. Any guest that is a student should be able to sit in on a board meeting without any opposition. And those are my 2 major points about what I would want to say to the student body as part of my board of directors report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avinash. And thank you for keeping that brief. Okay, so I have Jesse, please, under 2 minutes.
Hi. Yeah, so I'll start by saying that I've been involved in the UTGSU in one way or another for going on 5 years now. Got involved for policy and operations because I'm one of those people who likes looking over policy documents. Before that, I was involved in the association at my undergrad institution and have been involved in other aspects on boards of other organizations. And what I have to say is that this organization's board is one of the most dysfunctional boards that I have been a part of. And it's not a simple issue of one individual. It's not a simple issue of the structure. It's a multifactorial issue involving low turnout. I mean, we had trouble making quorum here. We have 20,000 students and we struggled to get 100 to come to an online meeting. And that's not a new thing that we've had those issues, but it's as bad as it's ever been. So I think what I'll say is that some of the issues that we faced as a board is that we had very few people run for positions. I believe we had 6 execs and 10 board members who are not executives. Of those, I think 5 never attended a meeting.
And so we've struggled to make quorum, to legally make decisions. And so it's not an issue that has an easy solution. But what I'll say is that if you want a student union and you want a student union to do things for you and to help you, then we need to work on having people attend. If not, the other option is just to not have a student union, right? Or to reduce its size and scope. Those are the two options when we're struggling to meet the mandate that we have set out for us. So I think that's under 2 minutes, and I'll end there.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, and thank you for expressing your thoughts and opinions on that. Sorry, I'm just looking at the speakers list. I'm asking currently for board of directors to give reports, and then we'll have discussion. So, Adam, under 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Zendaya. I just want to focus the scope on the last board of directors meeting. There were parts that not all of the directors could attend. This is the November 2022 board of directors meeting. There were some serious issues, and ultimately I tried to raise, it started with my attempts to try to raise issues of officer conduct at the beginning of that meeting. Ultimately, my motion to amend the agenda to discuss officer conduct was amended off of the agenda, ruled out of, so first I challenged the chair and then it was ruled out of order by the person who stepped into chair, right? So that led into, let's say, some tension in that space, and ultimately near the end of that meeting.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, thank you.
At this point, I don't think we should be, debating subjectivity.
I think that is a good point, well taken. Adam,
how is that a point of order? What's the breach in order?
Point of order, Chair. Like we're debating one person's analysis. I don't think that this. I don't think that this. We sat in the meeting. We had chairs. Let's move on.
Thank you for the point of order.
Can I finish my report? I have 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm pausing the time on your 2 minutes. I'm just going to say, do not use your time to express personal opinions on things that are not relevant to this particular body, in that they will not be able to see minutes or anything about that, so we won't be able to have people see those things. If you have anything that you'd like to report in terms of your role as a board of director, you may continue to do so in the rest of this time allotted in your 2 minutes.
Right. Okay. Is the timer going again? Can I speak?
Yes, it is. Yes,
okay,
please.
Thank you. So in the latter part of that meeting, so we went till after 7 o'clock, right? And I'm the only one who was present probably to speak on this. I doubt the other people in the room are willing to speak on this. Furthermore, we didn't have the press present because we couldn't seat additional guests. There was no opportunity to seat guests beyond the guests seated by the executive. Ultimately,
I'm sorry, Adam. I think you're continuing to, I've stopped your time again, but I think you're continuing on the same as I've just asked you not to, because giving an account of the meeting.
Experience.
I'm sorry, Adam. Please do not interrupt when I'm speaking. I do not interrupt you, other than as in my role as chair.
Both the president and the chair have interrupted me.
Orders will be taken as an interruption, as part of the procedure here.
How is the longest issue
Adam,
a point of order?
As I mentioned, I have paused the time so that you will have the full 2 minutes. Yes, so there was indeed guests, but I don't think this is the space to debate that. We don't have the minutes or anything for people to see. I don't think that is relevant to the rest of this body at this time, because I can't see those things.
My apologies.
Nope, sorry, Adam, I'm not done. So I'm going to ask you not to continue in that vein. This is a warning. Please continue to use your time to use it as a report as a board of directors, and not what we have just discussed. Thank you. You may continue now.
I can't report on the board of directors meeting my own lived experience in that space to the general membership. Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
People cannot see to verify through the minutes.
Okay, so we'll just clarify one thing. You're suggesting, Danielle is suggesting in the chat, which by the way is a misuse of chat, that the media were present. I spoke with the media, they were not present. I think they're actually, I think the varsity actually is here. Which media are you referencing specifically?
Direct questions. Yes, point of order.
I again, like, we've deviated from the members' initial point. Again, we can't have these points to just spill whatever we feel like. What are we talking about right now? We have time. We have members there. We need to respect people's time. Let's carry on with the meeting. We cannot be debating subjectivity and propaganda.
Thank you very much for the point. I was just going to say here.
My apologies. So point of personal privilege.
Okay.
Did the president just accuse the board of director of lying to the general membership?
No deviation, please, and lower your voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take that as the last warning for our member, Adam Hill. So what I was attempting to say is that I would ask again that nobody direct any comments towards any other member here. You have 3 seconds left in your time anyways, Adam. I'm given that you did not follow what I asked you to do. I'm going to take those 3 seconds, which I don't think you'll be able to use to further say anything anyways, and remove you from
I have been censored. That's my last 3 seconds. I have been censored again by this organization. Thank you.
This is my